Let me pull this up. Okay.
Good evening. After a two-day manhunt, 2 sleepless nights, law enforcement have apprehended Vance Bolter. That's 48 hours that law enforcement involved in a complex and dangerous manhunt. Spent Father's Day away from their families to deliver justice for Melissa and Mark Hortman and their children who spent this Father's Day alone. To the law enforcement who stand here and the hundreds who were involved in this, the state of Minnesota owes you a deep debt of gratitude. Thank you. You ran towards the danger and you served the state of Minnesota. This is a great example of coordination and collaboration. Multiple agencies, federal, state, and local, coordinating together in a way to protect the public and close this hunt around. Multiple agencies were there as FBI laid hands on it and Minnesota State Patrol put the handcuffs on. One man's unthinkable actions have altered the state of Minnesota. Melissa Hortman was the core of who our values were. She had a hand in so many things that happened. The building that we stand in, she helped usher through so that we could respond from the State Emergency Operations Center with the professionalism and giving the tools necessary to law enforcement to do their job. To Melissa and Mark's family, I cannot fathom your pain and the grief that you're going through. We'll take solace in the memory and the work that Melissa did, and you can rest assured that we will put every ounce of effort that the state of Minnesota has to make sure that justice is served and the individual responsible for this serves the time for the unspeakable act. State grieves with you. The latest news is Senator Hoffman came out of final surgery and is moving towards that, towards recovery. Yvette is healing. And I think when the story comes out, and I'd like to say on behalf of the state of Minnesota, the heroic actions by the Hoffman family and their daughter Hope saved countless lives, and we are grateful. Bureau of Criminal Apprehension will continue to investigate. We will keep you informed. We'll spare no expense and no work to make sure that that happens.
Didn't the guy just turn himself in, LOL? Not from what I've seen. It just says, where do they find him? Quoting unnamed law enforcement officials reported that Bolter was arrested near his home. They also reported that police found what was believed to be his vehicle. So I don't, he was caught in a fucking field. Yeah, I don't think he just turned himself in. It would be really funny though, watching them say, after 48 hours of countless work, he turned himself in and then we caught him.
A moment in this country where we watch violence erupt. This cannot be the norm. It cannot be the way that we deal with our political differences. Now's the time for us to recommit to the core values of this country. And each and every one of us can do it. Talk to a neighbor rather than arguing. Debate an issue. Shake hands. Find common ground. This is who Melissa Hortman was. In the first negotiating session that I had a chance to work with her, she got all the partners in the room, and she provided each and every one of us a copy of a book called Getting to Yes. And the whole premise was debating with a sense of goodwill, a sense of trying to come to compromises that serve everyone. And because of her, we did that.
Walls gets a pass just because I like him. All right. He gets a handful of passes because I like him. All right.
Because of her, we did that year after year after year. That's the embodiment of how things are supposed to work. It's not about hatred. It's not about mean tweets. It's not about demeaning someone. It's leading with grace and compassion and vision and compromise and decency. That was taken from us in Minnesota with the murder of Speaker Hortman. So for each and every one of us to truly honor, and we will continue to honor that spirit, but we will need to do it in just more than actions in a memorial. Conducting ourselves in the spirit that Melissa Hortman did her work is what the country needs to heal. I will once again say the deep debt of gratitude. These professionals standing behind us and countless others This was, you'll hear from them, incredibly complex. And to take this suspect in with no life of life or injuries to civilian population and to bring him in alive so he can serve justice, which he will do in Minnesota, is an incredible thing that we are grateful for. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the professionals, starting with Commissioner of Public Safety for the state of Minnesota, Bob Jacobson. Thank you.
I want to skip ahead a little bit. I thought this was going to be a different report. This is just like...
Good evening. It's good to see you all here tonight.
State officials describing what happened.
Thank you for coming.
Sorry, I got distracted because I was seeing that there's breaking news happening right now in Iran. Yeah, Iran they just bombed Iranian news building. Not this. Sorry, not the mold, no.
Against the genocidal regime that, you know...
Sorry, let me go back.
Really looking at the unwillingness of those who claim to uphold the international legal architecture and system to actually challenge these ongoing illegal actions. We've heard reference to the Dahia doctrine of targeting civilian infrastructure and major cities, and that's what Israel has deployed elsewhere. That's one of the things that was cited in the cases in the International Court of Justice, in which Israel has been found guilty of violating international law consistently. So there are similarities here in that modus operandi, similarities of you make civilians targets, you make civilian infrastructure targets. Journalists, the media, you know this sadly all too well as your network. And then
that woman is still reporting in another studio, by the way. Props to the Iranian people's courage. We're all with you all the way.
But if one steps back from that, if I may, you have to ask, so what purpose does this serve? You could make the case that there...
Yeah, this was the full footage. Uninterrupted by some British guy talking. Dude, the way she just gets up like a G, like she doesn't give a fuck. She's like, well, Mondays. That's hard as shit, dude. I'm sorry. That's the hardest shit I've ever seen in my fucking life. That's fucking crazy, dude. Holy shit. Oh my god. Yeah. All right. Sorry, I wanted to see going back. We'll go back to covering that. I'll let you guys know if there's any breaking updates or breaking news.
The 57-year-old suspect in the killing of a state lawmaker and her husband has been caught and is now facing murder charges.
Dude, how the fuck do you just get caught in a random fucking field?
Among other charges. Investigators using a helicopter.
What heroic actions was Walls talking about? He said hope and did something heroic. Do you know what he meant? I am not sure. I think he was just using platitudes.
Surveillance drones, as well as infrared technology to find Vance Bolter overnight. They say that
he's a hog. Of course he's just roaming around in the field. He's a hog.
Literally crawled to law enforcement after search teams closed in on him.
I'm very proud to tell you that we took the suspect into custody who is responsible for this. That was within 43 hours of the incident. There's no question that this is the largest manhunt in the state's history. Just down at the scene where he was taken into custody, there was 20 different SWAT teams over an extremely large area hunting this individual down to take him into custody. I believe that the state of Minnesota and certainly the city of Brooklyn Park should be extremely proud of the police officers within the city of Brooklyn Park, but the partnerships that we had are unprecedented between the federal agents, the county, the locals, and others around. It is absolutely an incredible task what went on. Essentially, the Brooklyn Park Police Department was turned over into an operations center, and that's all that hundreds of detectives worked on tirelessly for 43 hours. So while this has come to some conclusion where we've made an arrest, there is a ton of work that needs to be done. So I encourage community members, if there's evidence, information, or other things, please continue to feed that information to the Brooklyn Park Police Department so that we can fully investigate this and present a complete case to both the federal jurisdiction and the Hennepin County Attorney's Office.
And just into CNN a few moments ago, this new photo of Bolter. It's his mugshot after he was transferred to the Hennepin County Jail. He has been charged now with 2 counts of second-degree murder and 2 counts of second-degree attempted murder. And that's according to a criminal complaint that was obtained by our colleagues at the Minnesota Star Tribune. A source telling CNN that the U.S. Justice Department is also considering possible federal charges against Bolter. The complaint also shows that police found weapons, including at least 3 AK-47s and a handgun inside his SUV. He's a suspect in 2 separate shootings targeting Minnesota state lawmakers in their homes. Melissa Hortman and her husband, they were both killed early Saturday morning. She was the top Democrat in the Minnesota State House. Officials saying that State Senator John Hoffman and his wife were also shot, but they survived the attack and are recovering in the hospital this morning after undergoing surgeries. Let's bring in now CNN's law enforcement analyst, Jonathan Wackrow, who's also a former Secret Service agent, joins us live from Middleton, New Jersey. Jonathan, it's good to have you this morning. Thanks for getting up early for us.
Hey, good morning, Paulo. How are you?
Following and still processing this overnight news, I'm wondering if you can give us a general sense of this vast amount of technology and the manpower that was used to track him down without injuring either him or any officers.
Well, listen, there are 3 things that are credited right now for this
The primary one is that he's white, so that made a huge difference for us.
successful apprehension.
The other big one was that he is a hog, so it's a lot easier for us to not shoot him immediately when we see him.
First, it's the proven law enforcement tactics that were deployed. I mean, you were thinking about a surge of law enforcement, the coordination between state, local, and federal assets working in unison under one central command to follow up on hundreds of leads, the rapid deployment of tactical teams when there were possible sightings. So, and finally, the actual setting up of very strict tactical perimeters when they did see that second vehicle really allowed for law enforcement tactics to be deployed. Those were bolstered by, as you said, the utilization of technology. So the infrared cameras that were used, the FLIR cameras that pick up heat signatures of individuals gave law enforcement officers on the ground this tactical advantage from the air, being able to see in the dark, see in areas that they were able to pick up on that heat signature. But a critical key component of this apprehension really came through with a breakthrough from the private sector, the public's assistance in the utilization of this trail camera, raising awareness that there was an image on the trail camera from a private citizen that matched the suspect's description.
I like how he talks about all these heat signatures and all these night vision goggles. And then they just say like, anyways, we put up flyers and then somebody called us about it. So the cops didn't do shit actually. And someone found out but they're trying to pretend like it's this tactical thing. And they were like, this, you don't understand. We really
Public's
utilize
assistance in the utilization of this trail camera, raising awareness that there was an image on the trail camera from a private citizen that matched the suspect's description.
Yeah, very tactical.
Really allowed for that perimeter, that tactical perimeter that was established by law enforcement to really shrink down into an area where law enforcement was able to identify the location of this suspect, call out to that individual.
I'm so glad we wasted a bunch of money on like night vision goggles just so someone's fucking trail camera could pick them up. All right, dude. Okay. Some random guy is looking at like a field. Some random lady is looking at a field and is like, who the fuck is that? Hello, police. There's some hog in my yard. Can you take care of it?
Where he crawled
Tactical
out of
perimeter.
his hiding location and was taken into custody without incident. So this was a
I want to see the Fox News coverage of this.
A 57-year-old Vance Bolter, suspected of assassinating one Minnesota lawmaker and nearly killing another, was found overnight by police. He is said to have willingly...
He was absolutely not found by police. Whatever.
Turned himself over to officers after being found in a field.
Bolter exploited the trust our uniforms are meant to represent. That betrayal is deeply disturbing to those of us who wear the badge with honor and responsibility.
When this sort of evil is in one of our communities, that law enforcement comes together to put all of their resources together to make sure that that person is taken into custody.
Former federal prosecutor and Holtzman Vogel partner Jonathan Fahey joins me now. Jonathan, your reaction to this suspect's arrest?
Well, it's great news that he was arrested. I just saw it this morning, and it really does show probably strong coordination with both, state, federal, local law enforcement, and they did a great job catching this guy. But I think on that earlier clip you're showing, he really is, when they say the face of evil, there's nothing better to describe what this person did other than just pure evil. To go to someone's home, kill them, just for not that there would ever be a justification, but to just show up at their door, murder them in cold blood, just truly horrific,
Hello,
not only for them, but the entire community.
It's pure evil. I don't know that that's pure evil, but okay. And he looks exactly like this guy. Stop, dude, stop. Why is he out of breath? That's just how it is when you're on Fox News.
Around them. So great news that he was caught. Great work by law enforcement there.
Yeah, and the suspected motive is that he was targeting people who support abortion rights. He does have an online presence, and it shows that he was a devout Catholic, a pastor who preached at a church in the Congo, and one of his Facebook posts said he sought out militant Islamists in order to share the gospel and tell them that violence wasn't the answer. You just called him the face of evil. How do you go from devout Catholic to committing these crimes, wearing the...
Dude, you know what? Fox News knows how to entertain. I see why they won that lawsuit. They know how to entertain. To take this fucking out of breath fuckhead and be like, yeah, he's a face of pure evil. Sorry, I had to walk over to this desk from the other desk. Anyways, clearly a face of pure evil. How could you show up at someone's house and then kill them? That's never been done before. Oh my God. And then you have this fucking bottle blonde show up and be like, he was actually a pastor talking about the evils of Islam. What do you have to say about that? Like, who knows what the hog is going to say in return? Oh my God.
One of his Facebook posts said he sought out militant Islamists in order to share the gospel and tell them that violence wasn't the answer. You just called him the face of evil. How do you go from devout Catholic to committing these crimes, wearing this mask that we see on our screen, and killing two people?
I like the idea that those two things aren't intertwined, that the type of person that would like try and convince Muslims that you people are all violent freaks, you violent Islamists, only I can save you, that type of person wouldn't also kill someone. Like, whoa, that's so crazy. I never would have seen that coming. Oh, a militant Christian being militant? Whoa, that's wild.
And attempting to kill two others.
Yeah, it's really kind of scary because it does appear that maybe just something snapped with this guy, because at least if you see that, it doesn't look like this would be the person that would be later killing people or have, intent.
Really?
To murder people in his head.
Really?
But certainly something may have happened that changed this guy, but it is just hard to tell, and maybe they'll find that out as they dig deeper into it, not only social media, but they're going to do extensive interviews with like family, friends, neighbors, other people that know him, so there may get some more insight onto that, but it is very troubling to see that.
Yeah, and then one of the other major elements of this case.
It's so crazy that he would commit a crime like that. He just has a certain if only there's something I can point at that makes me not feel like he would commit a violent crime, a certain look. There's just something about him that just, I just can't put my finger on it.
Case, Jonathan, is that he didn't impersonate.
And also, yeah, famously, priests have never done anything immoral ever. Pastors have never been immoral ever.
A police officer, and that's something that you can't undo, you can't unsee. Are you concerned about copycats when it comes to this, and how does law enforcement mitigate that?
Yeah, I would be concerned about copycat people doing this. Also, the other thing is it sort of erodes trust in law enforcement. Not that law enforcement didn't do a phenomenal job here, but now with people encounter law enforcement, particularly in that area, they may be hesitant to either cooperate with them and things like that. And you have so many instances now of, these swatting instances where people call 911 on unsuspecting homeowners and police come. And you do think there's more potential violence because of this. And I think the way you overcome it is just probably time and people, again, build trust. And again, the police did everything great in this case. So hopefully it doesn't lead to more instances. But yeah, I would certainly be concerned of copycat cases. And just as a point, this is a unique case in a lot of respects, but impersonating police officers to commit crime has happened before. I actually prosecuted a murder case where people got into homes impersonating police to gain entry in the home and killed people within it. So it's not unheard of, but it's certainly a very troubling situation.
A 2-day manhunt, and now the suspect is behind bars, facing 40 years for each count. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us.
That's amazing. That's beautiful, amazing, incredible. No comment. Nothing to say. Also wanted to see this with you guys. Video, Vance Bolter, Minnesota shooting suspect talks about funeral home job. Did you guys see this? Ones of you've seen this, two of you didn't. I just don't get it. He was of a particular complexion. He was a family man, a pastor, not even a little trans. Yeah, I just don't understand how this could have happened.
Bolter, I just go by Vance. No other names that I use. I live in Grinnell, Minnesota, about an hour away from the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. I'm affiliated with 2 funeral homes. I work full-time for Wolf Funeral Home, which is an intake location for about 6 funeral homes. And we also do all the intake for the National Cremation Society and the Neptune Society for all their cremation customers as well. So I mainly do removals at this point. So I work at Wolf full-time, and then I also work.
Do not say he was drumming up business. Don't say that.
For another funeral home called Metro First Call, and they also do traditional removals at nursing homes, assisted living apartments, but they also have contracts with medical examiner's office. So like one contract is the Hennepin County Medical Examiner's Office, so we'll do removals, which we're working with a lot of police officers and death investigators at the location where a decedent is found. Could be a crime scene or just a natural death, and our role is to just take the decedent from that place of death to the medical examiner's office. And so between those 2 locations, I'm working about 6 days a week. What else here? Family and pets. I have a wife and 5 kids, and we have 2.
It's like a job application that somebody saved.
Pets, German Shepherds. Fun fact about myself, I've been in the food industry about 30 years.
It would be so insane if he said, fun fact about myself, and then said something like, I love dark humor or something like that. Like, that would have been insane.
And that led to an opportunity. I was invited to the Democratic Republic of Congo, which is located in Central Africa. When I was in high school, the country was called Zaire. That's a little bit more familiar with people, but it's the largest, second largest country in Africa, right in the middle in the center there, and was asked a couple years ago to go and see what I could do for ideas on helping their food supply system. Their population is about 100 million people, and they import.
Haven't Christians done enough for Africa? I think they've done enough. I think they don't need, I don't think Africa needs any more Christians. I think enough damage has been done.
80% of their food currently. So some of the food companies I worked for in the past were Farm to Fork, like Del Monte Foods and Golden Plump Poultry, where we did everything from at Del Monte, we planted the products to harvested them to process them and then shipped them out. In Golden Plump Poultry, we had our own hatcheries, grow out barns with the farmers, and then processing plants. So between those two companies, I have some experience with agriculture. And so over in the Democratic Republic of Congo, I had some ideas they thought were pretty promising, which the company I was working for at the time wasn't interested in doing anything in Africa. So I talked with my wife and we decided I just put in my 2-week notice and we just go off on our own to try to do these projects to help out in Africa. So we're doing farming and fishing projects in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And to help pay the bills, I just started working at a funeral home because the shift worked good for my schedule with the other things I was doing. And that led to some classes at DMAC, which led to this course. So just learning more about the funeral industry. And I think that covers everything. And I will look forward to seeing you in class and we'll go from there.
What was this for? I don't even understand what this was for. For a class? Yeah, I mean, this is like... This is like peak. Conservatives don't really care about the outcomes of like the people that they're pretending to help. Like every single person who died because they were convinced that the vaccine was going to give you autism or some stupid shit. Like, what do you think that looks like? It looks like this. What do you think will happen when you have a bunch of conservatives on Fox News being like, we need to do something about these people. They're literally destroying our country. You know, I'm going to go there. I'm going to shoot all the fucking protesters. That's what we have to do. If that's what we have to do, that's what we're going to do. And it's like, I wonder why people would turn to violence. After spending the past 5 years convincing them that the left is unsavable and that they're the ones that are trying to destroy your country and that the migrants are the ones trying to destroy your country. I love how Fox News says he just snapped, right? Like it wasn't years of violent rhetoric coming out of right-wing outlets like Fox. For the love of God, Denim, he's just a bad apple. Damn you, he's just a bad apple. It's just 1, it's just 10, it's just 100. But that's what happens when you build your political policies or your political worldview around something besides empathy. Like and I stand by this principle. Okay, chat, maybe I'm a bit naive to think this, but I think that anyone can be politically engaged and come to the right opinions if you put 2 things in the center of your world. 1, human life is important and we should protect all human lives. And I swear to God, before somebody says, oh, so you're pro-life. No, fetuses are not human beings, okay? Not fetuses. I'm sorry, I will always value the life of the mother before I value the life of a fetus, okay? That's fucking stupid. And then 2, have empathy. That's it. Those are the only 2 principles you need. Those are the only, you will always come to the correct political position so long as you center yourself around these 2 things. And look at immigration. If any of these people had any empathy at all, you'd be like, actually, I don't know that it's a very good position to have to show up at an elementary school and start deporting children. I don't know that it's a good principle to have to like show up to like a U-Haul facility or like a Home Depot and just start deporting these people. Like what harm have they contributed? Their biggest crime is that they wanted to move to another country to get a better life for themselves and their children. Like, come on. So, I mean, yeah. All right. But that's also why there are people that are just... I feel like this used to be less than 1% of the population, and now it's like 20% of the population, of the American population.
Happy Saturday. It's a little bit windy up here, so you guys get to hear the wind.
Have you guys seen this? One's if you've seen this, two's if you didn't see this.
So we woke up early and started on the roof. We realized we're going to need a lot more paint than expected, so we are actually going to be heading into town in a few minutes. It is quite a process. Anyways, parts of it are still drying. We just decided to take a break and going to get more paint. This is roof number 1 that we did. We actually thinned out all of this, and mostly to have the paint last a little bit longer because we're working just really on the color versus protecting anything. However, bonus, it does extend the life of the roof. So we'll see how that goes.
5 months.
Anyway, this is what we're up to. And then we have the main house still to do, which will be tomorrow.
All normal so far, question mark. More paint. Yes, we have a sprayer on the way. Maybe 30 minutes of no wind daily will extend an hour to a few days so we can knock this out. Lowe's color match for the United Nations flag blue. Uh-oh. I have no idea why you're painting the roof blue. We are near a known DEW, direct energy weapon, attack area. Very remote. Not sure why they hit them, but also not playing around. Did a drive around the area, saw way too many blue items that were undamaged. For reference, search Lahaina, Paradise, Texas, etc. I would have painted it white rather than blue, as that would reflect all wavelengths of visible light more effectively than colored surfaces. A light blue roof would reflect blue light well, but absorb more of the other wavelengths like red or green. Look at the color that was not melted in the known DEW attacks. White is not on that list. Yes, they are talking about the Jewish space laser. They are painting their roof Pantone United Nations blue because they live in an area that they believe is known to get hit with DEWs, also known as direct energy weapons. Are you positive that's the right color blue? I feel like it's a little lighter than the blue we've seen. It's the UN flag blue. It's in the range. I've spent almost a year on this before going with this color. This is crazy. This is like the world we live in today. Unrecognizable. Good luck. And they respond saying insanity. I want to go back to our childhood. You're the insane person. It's you.
Not to put it on the roof, but to look at themselves.
It's you. You're the crazy person. How do you find this brain rot, dude? Twitter just feeds it straight to me. What is happening? What did I just listen to? Massive amounts of Americans have now been convinced by Fox News and other Alex Jones type of networks to become the most insane versions of themselves. And now people are unsure about whether or not the bread in their store is real. So they are the ones that are molesting the bread in the store. If you've ever wondered why the last loaf of bread that you wanted is totally squashed. I always thought it was kids. I was like, oh, fucking stupid children. Damn them. No, it's adults. It's adults squishing the bread to see if it's good bread or fake bread. People painting their roof blue to protect from the space lasers. People not getting vaccinated because it gives you autism. And this is just like 20% of the population now. It's just like some percentage of our American population is just this now. Bread is also full of preservatives, so it's not going to be real full bread. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too deep into it, but different breads have different purposes. Okay. The purpose of white bread that you get at the store that sits on the shelves for forever, it's not like the bread that you would want to use in like a French onion soup. It's the type of bread that you might use for like a PB&J. Right? They have different purposes. Different breads have different purposes. And the bread that's in the store, that's all squishy and bounces back, it has a lot of preservatives in it, it has a lot of sugar in it, and it has a lot of rise in it, which is why when you squish it, it comes back up. It's like angel food cake versus a normal loaf cake, you know, that's just different ingredients that are going in there, lighter ingredients that are going in there, or more leavening, more air. So the bread will rise more, which means that when you squish down on it, it'll come back up. Versus like a sourdough bread that you make in your oven, yeah, when you squish it, it's just going to be crushed. But the bread in the store that you get, the white bread that can sit in your shelves for like 2 weeks and still be super, super soft, it's got a lot of fat in it. It's got a lot of sugar in it, which is why it can stay so moist and so bouncy for so long. Doesn't mean it's the best bread for every single thing, but, you know, it's pretty good for, like, you know, those cream cheese cucumber sandwiches. I feel like that bread is really good with those. It's a cake bread. It's for things that should be a little bit sweet. Or like, I'm sure maybe some of you have seen the videos on TikTok or not Instagram. Well, maybe Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts. The Japanese, like, konbini breads that they put like whipped cream in them and like fruit. It's a dessert bread that you have when you want to enjoy something sweet. It's like a cheap brioche, precisely, right? It's not the bread that you might eat, again, in like a French onion soup or like a grilled cheese. In my opinion, grilled cheeses with like white bread are not that good. But instead, you have people that are like, no, clearly that bread is made out of rubber, and they're trying to feed us the rubber bread, which is also why I can buy the not sweet bread. If they were trying to feed us the rubber bread, why do we have the other options? Like, what are we fucking talking about here? Why wouldn't they just like make the flour bad? Why wouldn't they just put rubber into the flour so you can't even make your own bread? I don't know. It's a wacky world we live in. It's a really, really wacky world. What's worse? These type of crazy people or these type of people? I don't know how many of you have seen this. Ones if you've seen this, twos if you didn't. Settlement resident says, I received my new house yesterday and it was destroyed today in the Iranian missile attack. Are there no translations for this? The word received here is doing a lot of heavy lifting in this sentence. Guys, she earned that house fair and square. And when she says received, she means she got it fairly because a Palestinian person said, I want you to have my home. After all, this is your land that you were promised thousands of years ago. Don't worry about me. I'll figure out a new place to go. Here you go. This is your house now. Now take care of it and don't let it get bombed by Iran. Dude, are we serious right now? Did you see the tweet saying, quote, they're turning us into Gaza? You gotta love the, wait, you guys can't do a fraction of what we've done to you or other people? That would be unfair. That would be unfair. Christ.